Good evening, Riverwest, Milwaukee, and possibly the globe. Welcome to Compose Yourself with Julie Brandenburg, a radio workshop for songwriters and composers. We are broadcasting from the Riverwest Film and Video Headquarters on Center Street in the heart of beautiful downtown Riverwest. Each week I will have a panel of songwriters, composers, students, and listeners here to share songs and discuss the craft of songwriting and composing. Our panel in the studio today is Jacob Mushin, who is the bass player for the Freddie Lee Band and also for the upcoming band I am putting together in Chaste. And Spencer Powers is in the studio tonight recording with Shroud of Despondency. And so they are recording tonight. He didn't have control over when the sessions would be scheduled, so that's why he's not here. But I think that's for a darn good reason. And Denise Burton, otherwise known as Compose, our regular panelist, is working, and she will be returning either next week or the week after. So it's just the three of us. We're going to have a little party with the three of us, and by the third, I meet my friend John Hefter, who is a fabulous composer and pianist and singer and songwriter. Welcome.
And thanks for having me.
Yeah.
It's fun to be here, and I won't have to go home and listen to the show because you'll be
here.
It'll be in my head.
Right. But if you do want to go home and listen to the show, this is great. They're all archived on riverwestradio.com, and if you just go to the show, you can see all of the shows lined up. I'm going to get a picture off of Facebook. I'm going to put it up there with your name on it for this show when I'm done.
Podcast it.
And you can podcast it. You can even subscribe to it on iTunes.
Super.
And it's free.
And it's free. I'm a podcast junkie. I've had to go through and just be honest with myself. Can I ever listen to all of these podcasts all week? So I've pared them down to just 5. But I love podcasts, so the idea that I finally have a show on iTunes that's podcastable, I'm just so excited about it. I haven't actually checked to see if anyone besides myself is podcasting the show, but I am, so you should too. Here's the disclaimer. Welcome to Compose Yourself with Julie Brandenburg. My name is Julie Brandenburg, and I'm the producer of this show. The things you will hear over the next 2 hours represents the view of myself and my guests and panelists. All opinions and quotations in no way represent Riverwest Radio and are the sole responsibility of myself, my guests, and my callers. Riverwest Radio is not liable for any legal issues arising from the content of this program. So, when you start swearing, John, realize it's on our heads.
That's right.
Okay.
Okay, so I guess really I can't say that I've had that exciting of a weekend. Didn't really get a chance to see any music this weekend, and it was very cold. That's not a good excuse. I do ride my bike. I wanted to make the whammy Christmas party or holiday party, however you want to say it, on Sunday. And it didn't seem like anybody was going because it was so cold. And I'm sure a lot of people ended up going. And I went last year. It was a really fun event. So I hope the people that did go had a good time. And this weekend, however, I have something coming up. On Saturday, I am playing at the Jazz Gallery, which is on Center Street in the heart of beautiful downtown Riverwest. And I'm playing from 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock. It's part of the gallery night weekend. Friday's gallery night, and people walk around and look at stuff. But they extended it into the day, and I think that's partially because, when it's this cold, it's almost more palatable to be running around during the day. And I understand it's going to hit 40 on Saturday, so that's a real big plus. So I am going to be performing at the Jazz Gallery from 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock. The first 2 hours I'm playing solo and singing, and the last hour I am playing with 2 of my cohorts. Mike LaPlante is playing drums, and Emily Zimmer is singing with me and playing guitar. So that's what's happening Saturday. Do you have any upcoming shows, John?
Not this weekend. I have a Saturday at Angelo's Piano Lounge, which is kind of fun. It's not the kind of stuff that we'd be talking about here later. And
What
I
kind of
don't.
stuff is it?
Well, it's a really fun place. A lot of singers come and want to sing nostalgic standards.
I
And
kind of
that
like
sort of
doing
thing.
that.
Yeah, you do. I've heard you do that very well. And so I don't get a lot of opportunity, accompanying them. I don't get a lot of opportunity to pick the repertoire, but sometimes I get to fill in the cracks with some, whatever off the cuff things. So, and I don't. Should I talk about February now, or should I?
Yeah.
Wait?
So this weekend you're playing at Angelo's.
That's the 26th, I think,
Oh, that's
a week from
already, yeah,
Saturday.
that's 2 weeks from,
Right.
yeah. So Saturday the 26th at Angelo's, which is right off of Brady Street on Van Buren.
That's right. Yeah, a couple of doors south of Brady.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I mean, I really always mean to get down there, and I just kind of forget, and I should do it. Last time I went,
Yeah.
it was really fun.
Yeah, and you should sing too.
That'd be kind of fun.
That people come in and some of them have never tried it before. They say, "Hey, I've got a smartphone and lyrics, and can I try that?" And
Yeah.
if I know it, if we can put it together, sometimes
Yeah.
swing it.
If they have a
Yeah.
smartphone, they can get you the chords.
Yeah, that's
It
true
possibly,
too. That's
yeah.
I don't know. I find that hard to look at, but I'm looking at my hands or whatever.
You can get a real book app for the iPod or the iPhone.
Yeah, I've heard people talk about it. They're just ecstatic
You
about
can get a
that.
real book app on pretty much anything now.
I think I actually have it. I have it right here, John. What I am doing now, ladies and gentlemen, is I'm freaking John out
Yoink.
right here. Any song you want in the real book, it's all right there. So if you're at the gig and I'm there and you're in a bind, just call on me and I'll see if I can find the chords for
It's
you.
good to know unofficially.
There you
I
go.
mean, I'm supposed to know this stuff, no tunes, but you can't know them all.
Oh,
All those,
gosh.
It's impossible.
yeah.
There's so many of
Hundreds
them.
and hundreds of them. So February.
Yeah, well, other dates like that come up, so I'll try to keep those updated. But then I'm doing a show at the Music on KK series on February 16th. That's an hour from 3 to 4 at, it used to be called the Theater on KK, and now she calls it Joyce Parker Productions.
Okay, I know where that is.
Yeah, it's just a Saturday music series. It's real eclectic, and I'm looking forward to that because I'll play on a grand piano and do some of the piano-oriented stuff, and just some of my favorite piano stuff to play as well as my own stuff. Things from the days when I used to play at Mayfair Mall, and I got a kick out of that for a while anyway.
Yeah, that always looked like a hard job to me when I saw people doing that because you got to be there for hours and come up with new stuff, or else you got to be a really great reader.
Well, the crowd recycles, I mean, they eat lunch and, well, you try to keep them, and that's a good thing. But it's not that hard unless if it's too many people, and some people try to play really loud and get through to them, and you just can't. You just kind of have to play and find an audience that'll stop by. It's kind of like playing on the street with the piano.
Oh, yeah,
You know,
right.
so somebody will stop by and have some fun. But
That's
I don't do that now, but, I miss some of that solo piano repertoire, just picking different things. So.
Awesome, very good. Well, let's do some listening. I decided to start off with a Far Corner tune. I'm partially just kind of picking things here today that I think you might find interesting. We have a tradition of being all over the map with, styles on this show. And most of our guests are usually kind of appreciative of hearing different things outside their comfort zone. This, I think, will be in your comfort zone because you like progressive music and music that's challenging to hear. And I chose this one because my friend Dan Maskey is playing piano on this, so that's why I chose that. He is the theory and composition instructor at Cardinal Stritch, and a great guy, just super guy. And his band is called Far Corner, and the piece is called The Turning. And he's joined by William Kopecki. We've played some of Haiku Funeral in the past on this show, which is Bill Kopecki's other band. He's currently residing in Paris, and so they do some stuff where Far Corner does stuff where they send each other tracks and they record that way and do that sort of thing. And then Angie Schmidt, who is Dan's wife, is the cellist that plays with me when I get my prog stuff going, which I'm hoping to get that going again soon. And Craig Walker plays the drums. So without any further description, this is a song. I'm getting my playlist going here. What happened? I always get nervous when the iPod does some things that don't make any sense. So I'm calm now. I'm going to play the song by Dan Maskey, and the song is called The Turning. Turning on riverwestradio.com. That was Far Corner. The composer is Dan Maskey, playing the piano as well. What'd you think, John?
Wow, there's a lot to think about there stylistically, and one of the things that impressed me right away is I was thinking all the way through it, even from the piano intro, how cohesive the whole composition is. When you're bringing that many things together, that's a hard thing to do. I hear a lot of music that's or sometimes you hear things that you feel like you could just take one section out and move it somewhere else and it wouldn't matter, but this really flowed well.
Yeah, four melodic instruments together. Sometimes it's hard to fit them together, but he does a good job with it. I thought I really like the progressive rock type music, mostly because the time signature changes, and he really did play with the time signatures in an interesting way. Like the first half of the song was all in 4/4 with like the occasional random measure of 6, and then it just switched for a while, and the whole thing was in 6/4, and then it went back to 4, and then it went out on the same part back in 6 again. And it's like,
that was your weekly time signature report from Jacob Mushin. That's what he does.
and it was just really cool the way it sounded like the same riff, but it was just a different amount of beats.
Mm-hmm. I think he works really well with balancing textures. He starts off with the piano, but even with that, I really liked the left-hand things that he was doing, and it kind of reminds me of sometimes the things that I hear you do. You'll just have a melody going with the left hand once in a while, which really changes things up,
Yeah, I thought he was just really adventurous with using the whole piano, just finding something in any range that he wanted to be in, was all there for him.
Yeah.
And so you're telling me these people were not on the same continent that's another thing I wanted to ask.
Well, this recording they were, but I know that they're working on some new stuff, and because Bill needed to be where he is now, they have not broken up as a band, so they're still working together. When he is in Wisconsin, they do play shows. We were lucky enough to
we got to see him.
To see them in Racine. For a benefit for the Diabetes Foundation. I think it's childhood diabetes.
Juvenile diabetes, yeah.
Juvenile diabetes, because unfortunately Bill's brother died of diabetes. He was an adult when he died, but he had juvenile diabetes, and they had a benefit to raise money for it. And so it was a wonderful thing because there were a lot of great bands that played, and got to see Far Corner, but they haven't played since, and that was like a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
If not longer.
Good show, though.
Yeah, they are pretty amazing. They're that good live.
Love to see them.
And the other thing, the crazy thing is Dan scores everything out, and Angie reads, and of course he does. But Bill, the bass player, does not. He just memorizes. He learns by rote, which normally I just wouldn't even think that someone could pull something like this off. But he does.
Yeah.
He does. So
he's good at finding the right kind of bass to play for different kinds of songs too. Like it sounded like he was playing a fretless bass with this song, and some of the stuff I heard definitely was like a heavy metal sounding bass, but this one not so much. This was
right. So really great stuff. I play them from time to time on the show. I thought you would enjoy it.
I sure did.
Yeah. Oh, one other thing I really liked in there too. Towards the end, but definitely not at the end. I would say more than 3/4 through. Those stops were really cool in there. Do you guys take note of those stops?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's just really right there. That really made it. And then he goes back to the beginning.
Yeah, they were like half timing it, but then it would go right back into the beat the same way it was at the beginning of the song.
Yeah, that's really good writing. We're gonna take a complete turnaround and listen to something by another composer that is a friend of mine who's doing a couple different styles. He does a progressive kind of a very tightly written esoteric band, but this concentric. But this band is death metal or black metal. What would you call it? What's the difference? I don't know what the difference is. Black metal and death metal, they both sound really scary to me, both the titles and the music.
I think what they're doing counts as death metal more than black metal.
Could you please help us out with the distinction?
Oh, there's so many different distinctions between all the different ones. Like some of them distinguish based on like if there's going to be any instrumental solos. Some of them are distinguishing if like what the lyrical content is. Some of it is just talking about how fast it is. Some of it's talking about if there's going to be breakdowns or not. There's just so much classification.
Okay, so in your professional opinion,
I think
Ara is
we're talking
death
Ara.
metal.
Yeah, I would say that they're death metal more
Okay, thank you for clearing that up. That's really important. Actually, this is pretty new, Ara. The Blessed Sleep is the name of the song as well as the name of the album. And on this record, we have Adam, oh boy, I should have brought my glasses, Budgny on the vocals. He's terrific. Jerry Haupas on guitars, James Becker on the bass, and also doing some supporting growling and vocals. Eric Stenglein, who normally plays guitar for Northless, is playing the drums, and he's bringing it. This is The Blessed Sleep by Ara. Entitled Ascension is the name of the actual song. The album is called The Blessed Sleep, and this is by the band Ara. I've always been amused by death metal that fades out.
Like a 70s hit.
I was not, the first time I heard the album, I was not expecting that to fade out. That was like, wow, they're kind of like okay with doing that. Why not? It works.
It's an ending.
It's an ending. So, lots of details. Lots of details. What do you think? I know this is not your usual.
Well, right. And first of all, I want to say all over the map is a good thing. That's a wonderful thing. When I was listening to it, I was thinking about for a track that seemed so saturated with sounds, and so it has so much energy, and I would have thought that my mind would go to picturing, a concert where people are slam dancing and but I just felt like this for me would work better to just sit down and listen to in a coffee shop, because it's just it's almost something about it for me was almost trance-like.
It is that way, especially live. Yeah. I don't really see a whole lot of people doing a lot of moshing at these concerts.
No, not usually. I mean, once they get really big, then people are going to mosh. That's just what happens. If you go to a metal concert where there's, 5,000 people, there's going to be a lot of moshing. It's just going to happen. But a lot of these bands, if you see them locally, people don't mosh. They just want to listen to the
because they want to
bands.
listen to it, just like you said. Yeah, they're pretty much transfixed because all of those details you're hearing is live. They'll do that live. That's a lot of really intricate playing.
That's incredibly tight. I don't know how you rehearse that or get it.
Yeah,
it must take a lot of work.
It's very fast. I assume they all practice with metronomes, and it's, a lot of that is just being able to remember the time signatures. That's because that was nuts on the time signatures, too.
But he has such detailed riffs, too. I mean, it's easy to just get lost in the wash of it. I think a lot of people who aren't musicians probably would just enjoy it for the whole impact of it. Like you said, it's so thick. But I think to be able to just sit there and really listen to, that little intricate little melody that's happening there, it's just so...
Yeah, you do that.
Yeah.
Part of it was conjuring up just subconscious abstract images. And then every once in a while I thought, wow, the drummer, just how does he...
Yeah,
just keep...
his feet.
Feet.
Yeah.
That's the first thing we said about Eric is like, wow. I walked up to him and I said, wow, you have feet, because he's a guitar player.
Yeah, it was impressive. He can do the double bass pedals really well. Those guys, they play together really well.
Yeah, they do. They do. And Jim, who's playing bass here, plays guitar for Jerry's other band, which is a little, I wouldn't say it's, I guess compared to this, it's softer. But it's a little more, even more esoteric and compositional. It's less...
And even more avant-garde.
Yeah, it's more avant-garde and less in a genre. You wouldn't call it death metal.
No, I wouldn't.
No.
Can you put that in perspective? Like you said, softer and loud. How loud would this band be?
Oh,
live?
extremely. You need
ridiculous.
earplugs.
Yeah,
you
earplugs for sure.
They're very loud. Because to be able to play this fast, you have to really hit strings hard or really drum hard. So
I would imagine. But like I said, the effect of just that much saturation with everybody's playing loud and fast at the same time, for me, it just went to sort of...
Yeah.
I get that way at certain action movies where things are happening all the time. I don't feel adrenaline. I just sort of let's just relax and watch all the...
They do a good job. A lot of these bands will have intros and or outros or even entire little songs that are they're just a little relaxed, to give you some dynamics. So that way it's not always the whole time, because if that's all you hear the whole time, you're right, it loses its effect and it's not as...
That was a neat analogy, actually. Yeah, it's kind of like an action movie. Well, we've made that analogy, in a different way before, where people pick on music because it's not their thing, but they'll say, "Oh, that's just silly. Why would you do that?" But there's different kinds of movies, and there's different kinds of things that people like. I mean, some people like horror films, some people like action films, and some people, like the chick flicks. This is not a chick flick, it's not. And I personally don't like chick flicks too often myself in terms of movies, so it does make sense that I'd be not exactly interested in listening to every singer-songwriter that's out there. I can't say I listen to none. And that's probably an interesting segue into the next segment that we're going to do, because that's kind of what I'm going to play for you. So now we're going to do a segment called Shameless Self-Promotion, and it's so much better with the kazoo. I really, really wish the kazoo were here.
I will do too.
Yeah, Spencer's not here.
Yeah, shameless, self-promotion. Okay, it's just not the same.
No.
Anyways, in preparing the show, we do try to play at least one thing every week by somebody in the group, and this week I thought I would play this because it's a total contrast to what we just heard and what you're going to play and Far Corner and everything else. And also it's a contrast between, you know, what I will be doing with my prog band. And a lot of people have only heard my progressive music think that I just can't listen to anything simple, and that's not true. I mean, I listen to some Annie DeFranco. There's other female singer-songwriters in town that I really like a lot. I almost tend to go local for that type of music than I do national. But the song is really simple. There's no time signature changes. There's not much else besides piano and a little cello, and it's not complicated. But I'm putting together, you know, recordings of songs like this because not only do some people really like this kind of music, it has a possible home in that I think I could sell this music for licensing a lot easier than my crazy progressive rock stuff that my 3 musician friends and me like, and the band likes it, and 3 other people. You know, that's kind of, and I'm sort of expecting that. So, you know, I have music that I think can reach a lot of people, and I have music that I know is going to reach myself and 3 other musicians, and I'm okay with that. So this is an example of one of those pieces that I think a lot of people would just find to be very pleasant and kind of simple. And the song is called Strands, and I recorded it this year, but I wrote it a long time ago. I sing strands of words to you, like hands in your hair, lips on a glass that has to be held, like me. Your ears hear nothing but the band, and no, I'm tired. I haven't even made a serious place for you. Hours of scales and Beethoven that breathe in these rooms. I know that somewhere your breathing is keeping the time, and I feel nothing but my hands, and no, I'm tired. I haven't even made a serious place for you. I'm tired, and you feel nothing, not strands, not good night. Strands on riverwestradio.com. I just recorded that a couple of weeks ago and months ago. I don't remember. Just a simple song. But, you know, when you kind of strip things away and don't have a million time signatures and 6 million instruments, then it's the lyrics that tend to carry the song. So I'm really careful about the way I write lyrics. And part of the songwriting class I teach at MATC in the spring semester, you can still sign up, it's not too late, talks a lot about that. It's just the more complex your music is, the less you can expect your lyrics to be get a spotlight. And so you might not want to make them, you might not want to be forcing some kind of message into them because that might not come across. But if you really want to say something meaningful, it's best to use simpler words and just pare down the, you know, the music to a point where it's not getting in the way. So.
And for me, I've heard some of your prog stuff, a lot of it, you know, and I thought this style choice brought out sort of a new vulnerability in your singing that I haven't heard. I mean, kind of a cool, you know, I mean, there's a strength to it. You know, we all have to get things out, but it was just, I just noticed that right away and just had a different, I just like the different feeling. It's good to try things like that.
Yeah, yeah. I think that with this kind of music, I'm not really needing to be flashy, or I'm not needing to be showy as a singer. I don't need to be belting. I don't need to be loud. I don't want to put a lot of melismas in there. I just want to tell the story.
Yeah, it feels like you're just absolutely confident your voice is going to be strong over this. You know, there's no, like you said, there's no need to belt. It's just, you don't need a note that jumps out. You just, you know the song is going to carry your voice through. It seemed to me.
One of my favorite singers is Diane Reeves. Are you familiar with Diane Reeves? She was the singer that was chosen to do all the singing for Good Night, Good Luck. Good Luck and Good Night.
Good night and good luck.
Good night and
Yeah,
good
I'm
luck.
sure I've heard her, but I'm not.
I know you have to have. And I love her because she doesn't oversing. She's got a beautiful voice. I mean, I'm definitely not comparing myself. She just has beautiful golden voice, but she doesn't do a show of her singing, but she just is very careful about the way she phrases things. And I really kind of picked up on that. And realize that how you phrase something has much more meaning than trying to show off all the things you can do. And I talk about this a lot with my voice students at MATC. You know, yes, it's great that you can do all these things. That's wonderful. And once in a while, you want to bust them out just to kind of remind us that you can, kind of like Beyonce does that. She'll sing simply, 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 and then the last phrase, she'll just really let you know, just to remind you, yes, she can do that. And then she goes back to being simple, because if you're trying to communicate something, to be too showy, it gets in the way of the message. So I kind of picked up or made note of that idea of just phrasing things well from Diane Reeves. So you should check her out.
Cool.
Yeah, fantastic artist. And let's switch gears again. I want to play a former student of mine from MATC who's at the helm of the Kevin Hayden Trio. Are you familiar with Kevin Hayden? You know who he is, yeah. Fantastic young man, really good drummer,
Really
and just really nice person. And this group is Terry Hayes Jr. on keys, Alan Harris, they are brothers, on bass, and they're really super young too. This is crazy how young. They're all under 22. And Quentin, I can't say his name right, Gwalage also plays keys, so he's got two keyboard players, even though it's supposed to be a trio. And Kevin Hayden is playing drums. And they're just really fantastic. And this song, I obtained this today on iTunes, so it was just 99 cents.
How reasonable.
I think that was totally reasonable. So I would encourage anyone to get on iTunes.
Wait a minute, I paid $1.29 for something the other day.
Well, see, this was a deal. It was a bargain. So this is the Kevin Hayden Trio, Ice in the Sun. And of course, I picked that today because I was riding my bike today and it was very sunny, but I had to not bask in the sun lest I get tripped up by the ice. So here it is. You're listening to riverwestradio.com. We heard a song called Ice in the Sun, a tune written by Kevin Hayden of the Kevin Hayden Trio. And Kevin kind of on the drums exemplifies that same idea of just not overplaying, and phrasing is just, his phrasing is wonderful.
Yeah, they played very well together. And this is the kind of thing when I first started listening to jazz, I might have called it fusion, but as I listen to fusion is like two things put together. That word means like, just jazz and rock or jazz and something, but I can tell that all the players in the band have nuances from many different eras of jazz, and maybe some gospel in there too.
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
really cool.
Don't you think the chord voicing kind of evokes the gospel?
Exactly. Yeah.
It sounds like soul music.
What do you think of the bass playing?
I thought he did a really good job. I mean, as far as playing jazz goes, it's pretty hard to play something that sounds good. So if you've harmonized with what everyone else is doing, that's impressive. That's.
I picked this one because I liked the title, but there weren't a lot of keyboard solos on this one to really show off what these kids can do. They're kids, and they're really good. So
It's a great age to be writing music.
yeah,
It's got plenty of hook too.
Yeah.
I hope it does well for them. But there's a lot of interesting breaks in there too.
Oh
It's
yeah,
fun to
definitely. I always thought Kevin was more sophisticated than his years.
Yeah, I mean the drumming he does is very disciplined. It's very rudiment oriented, but it's really good. I mean, he's developed a style that is jazzy.
He doesn't seem to be caring about writing trends, and a lot of younger people are really concerned about that. He does do a lot of like looking back historically. I mean, I'm hearing smooth jazz to an extent,
Even a little bit of bebop jazz.
but I'm hearing bebop, but I'm also hearing cool jazz. I'm hearing some Miles Davis in there that just is real. It's just the subtlety of it just kind of evokes that for me. So I think he's.
It's nice to be able to draw on all that and just play.
Oh yeah, yeah. All right. Well, it's come to that time in the show where we're missing the kazoo again, but it's time for a quiz. Woo! Yay, quiz. But there, that's just not the same, is it? It's not the same. All right. Now, this is an experiment because these were made up completely by me, and it's not just a music quiz, but it's a pun quiz. So I'm calling this Pun with Music. So the answers can be found in wordplay as well as in historical knowledge. So if you don't have one, you might be able to figure it out from the other. I don't know. This is beta testing here, because if these are too easy, I'll be like, wah, wah, wah. All right. This composer found that including a choir in a symphony was unheard of.
You got a guess on this one? I'm thinking this was that we're talking Beethoven on this one because of that was talking about hearing and he couldn't hear.
Okay, right. He picked up on the unheard of. Okay.
I guess I'll guess Beethoven.
Okay. But now, all right, so I kind of alluded to the fact that a choir in a symphony was unheard of in Beethoven's time. He never did, in fact, hear the symphony that he composed that had the choir in it. It was a joy to listen to. Which one was it? Do you know which number it was?
That would have to be number IX.
Yes.
Number 9.
Yep, number 9.
I did not know that one.
Yeah, you do.
No, I didn't know that was the one you were talking about.
Yeah, that's his 9th symphony. I had a composition teacher tell me once, if you're gonna write symphonies, stop at 8. So many composers died right after they wrote their last symphony.
There's like the 13th floor. If you're building a hotel, you just skip it and go to 10.
Yeah, right. No, there's this other one that I'm not showing anyone. So, okay. This legendary club singer was always on a vacation, at least according to her name. Now remember, there's puns in here. This legendary club singer never took a vacation, at least according to her name. Or she's always on vacation. That's the way it should be said. She's always on vacation, at least according to her name.
I only can guess based on the pun. Are we possibly talking Donna Summers?
No, but that's a really good guess. That's a
Okay,
really
then
good
I
guess.
have no idea.
Now, there's 2 puns in here. This is a double one. This legendary Club singer, it's not really a pun, but it's a clue. Club singer is the first name, club. The second part of the name is vacation. And what do the British call a vacation?
A holiday.
Yes. And what do cops carry when they're about to apprehend a criminal? Not a gun, but think British again. What kind of a club? You guys.
A billy club. That's
Yes.
really bad.
So what's the name of the artist?
It's Billie
Holiday. Okay, these aren't going over
She
so
wasn't
well.
just a club singer, though.
Well, I know. She was not just a club singer, but she did sing in clubs. But I needed that to make the
Right.
to make the
There's a connection.
reference.
She gets it.
Okay, so we're gonna move on to another genre here. I'll give you a hint. The temperature is always high whenever he spent a day at the races. The temperature is always high. So what happens in a thermometer when the temperature goes high?
It gets red.
What gets red?
The mercury.
Ah! And who recorded an album called A Day at the Races?
Queen.
So the answer is
Is it Queen or Freddie Mercury? I don't
Freddie
remember exactly
Mercury,
how
yeah.
the question was phrased.
wah, wah, wah. This will be the last installment of Fun with Music.
Usually you let us have our own copies of it so we can look at them. I'm just trying to remember them based
I
on.
purposely didn't do that because I wanted it to be an audio thing because the audience doesn't have the advantage of the piece of paper. Okay, I'll try another one, see how well this goes. This powerful metal band never had a word, at least in their name. This powerful metal band never had a word in their name. So current.
ACDC.
Yay!
I'm just scoring here.
I was thinking
you
of
go
putting
for it.
something to the effect of current. This not current band was current. Okay, one more. What's in a name? For this instrument invented around 1700, its name was an advertisement of its advantages over other instruments of its kind. I'll give you a hint. The name of it is in Italian, so the advertisement aspect of it was also in Italian.
What year?
1700.
I just have no idea what instruments were being invented in the 1700s.
But maybe John knows.
I don't know the year, but I was gonna get it. The pun reminds me of pianoforte.
Yeah, yes. Ding, 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 ding. You win. Yay. It was the reason Cristofori titled it the pianoforte. We've talked about this on the show before, is because it highlighted the fact that this was a keyboard instrument that could be played loud and soft, which up until that point hadn't been the case. So he wanted to make sure you all knew that.
So why didn't they drop piano and just call it a forte?
I don't know. I think it's just the same as anything else. You know, you take the nickname of something from the first part of it. People are lazy, even, I suppose, back then. I mean, I have old sheet music that my friend Jonas got for me from rummage sales, and that was years ago. And they're, at my house, there's folios from the 1800s, and they still say beautiful compositions for the pianoforte. So, do you ever hear it called the pianoforte?
I kind of let my little students know that sometimes when they're learning forte.
Yes.
And piano, which means soft, of course. So, but no, nobody says that.
Nobody says
Maybe we
that.
should start saying that again.
Yes, let's start a club. Just you and I and see if it catches on.
Progressive pianoforte.
Right.
The extra 2 syllables, it's rough.
All right. Next week we'll be returning back to the trivia format for the quiz. Oh, well. But for now, we are going to turn over the next portion of our show to my guest, John Hefter, who I'm excited to have here, and I've got a number of pieces. Before we even begin to start listening to them, can you tell me, is this an album or what do we have here?
Let's see. I gave you 5 things that were not on an album that you have.
Right.
So that I know you've played some things from. So there's one cut from a 2003 CD called After Carefree Consideration. That was all instrumental.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a song that I released as a single. When was that? It must have been May of 2012, because it wasn't that long ago. And then the other 3 are I just brought in some examples of the direction I'm going. They probably will be on the next CD if I decide to do a CD. I don't know if that's going to be the way to go anymore, to do a whole CD or just to keep releasing things as singles. But
where can a person find these singles to purchase or enjoy?
Well, let's see. There's 3 of them here that you can't find yet, but I'll probably put them up on my website, johnhefter.com, which is also a Reverb Nation site. So I rotate some samples there, and they have a store. So I have a variety of things in that store. And then the single Save the Date is out just about everywhere, through distribution, iTunes, CD Baby, Amazon, whatever, so you can hear it there, sample it at many of those sites as well.
So you have a pretty diverse background with the piano. I mean, you played jazz, but you also read, and so you play some classical. You teach lessons.
Right, and that was the cool thing when we were listening to Kevin Hayden. I was reflecting on how probably at the age these guys are playing jazz, I was just getting started with it. But I had a good piano background. I was lucky to have a father who started me off and discovered that I had perfect pitch when I was very young. So I just I used that as maybe a crutch for a while, to help me get through some of the more boring aspects of taking piano lessons. But yeah, piano music's been a big part of my life for a very long time. So.
Your father was a musician.
Well, he was not really a professional. He wasn't a professional musician. He just loved. He was a very creative person, and I think my earliest memory is maybe I was 4-ish, and he was taking a home mail order course, and he got tired of playing the chords. So he said, "Hey, John here is showing an interest on piano. Maybe I could show him 2 chords and wait, here, C." Okay, now it's good. Wait, F. And then he could just play the melody. Somewhere in that, activity, he got me interested in music in general, I think, or just he was very good at nourishing things like that as kids. So I'm really lucky that way.
That's great.
Yeah.
So you've been playing some jazz piano. You do accompany a lot, but you also sing, and then you write some tunes. You play some pop covers too. Yeah.
I try to play. I mean, I like things like Billy Joel, but I always try to find something to cover that's a little bit obscure, but then I can say, it's something you recognize. I couldn't possibly get through piano. I couldn't stand trying to get through Piano Man. You've heard it so many times, and why does anybody need to hear me do it?
I don't think I ever needed to hear him do it either.
Yeah, right. Well,
I really have a lot of respect for Billy Joel as a songwriter. He's a really tight songwriter,
but he's not a very good driver.
Okay.
I just remember a report a few years ago of him driving his car into somebody's house.
Oh, I didn't know that, so I was kind of wondering what you were referring to. Okay, that was a nice piece of interesting trivia.
I think I heard that too.
All right. But yeah, I'll admit he's just, something about him just never rubbed me the right way. Even though I'm continually, like if I'm in the mall and they're playing like Uptown Girl or something, I'm continually impressed with the construction of a song like that. Because his lyrics fit impeccably in the melody with no forcedness. And it's all perfectly rhymed without seeming too pat or cloying. And he's got, little key changes in there that a lot of people wouldn't notice, and even chord progressions that are not off the beat. They're off the beaten path. So I really appreciate him. I do think you picked some of his better ones. Piano Man, no.
Yeah, I mean, how many people do you know that never recorded one thing that wasn't a hit? You know, no one's perfect.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that
Well,
was a hit.
it's not the
but-
song that I don't, you know, I could take a 10-year break from hearing the song. I mean, I actually kind of
Sure.
like it. It's a good story
It is.
song, you know, just,
But it's a story that's been told so many times already.
right, exactly.
So, with that in mind, I'd much rather listen to Hefter than than Joel. So, what piece would you like me to play first?
Doesn't matter to me. I don't know. Well, why don't we do Save the Date? It's the one that's released. So we
Okay,
can-
that's great. Let's do that. And so, if you like it, you can get it on Reverb Nation. Save the
What a time for love. Our destinies exceeding, floating on pleasure and power, on board above the bleeding. Save the date, be there. When it's time to kiss, we know how to leave him guessing how we manage fate and bliss. Now can't we do anything? Save the day if you still care. Save the day and be there when it started. You can find out where your heart is as it starts all over again. What a time for romance, exotic deeds exploding to shower on absence and pain. The verse needs no concluding.
Save the Date by John Hefter on riverwestradio.com. I like the way it hangs at the end. That's cool.
Yeah, it doesn't fade.
I like that. It really is a very effective ending. I'm like, oh, that's it. Oh, cool. What's that last line?
The verse needs no concluding.
That's really, really clever. I like that. That's a much better wordplay than my little pun game. Wow, it's really cool.
Cool.
Yeah, this is really new, good work. Wow.
Thanks. Yeah, the songwriting for me is just more about trying to get some music that'll draw people into the lyrics. I write lyrics, and sometimes it just turns into poetry, or just it gets, the idea of making it into a song gets dropped. But you know, there are things that I think about from time to time, and somehow music doesn't get it all, and I want to explore lyric writing and poetry. And this is a lyric that I started thinking about there's kind of this romantic idea of living in the gentrified areas, re-gentrified areas of a city, and being close to everything, and I noticed this when I travel too, that there's always around the fringes is all the blight, where people are ignored and people don't seem to know what's going on there, and so for me it's just sort of some reflections on what the idea of what is being charitable and volunteering, having a charitable spirit, and understanding where the people around you, so I wanted to have a sweet feeling to it, but then there's got to be, sort of a dark element to something that's a little.
The chord progression it definitely brought through a darker feel because you played lower on the piano and it just had a heavier sound.
Oh, and little elements of chromaticism that just kind of appeared for just for a second. It would appear and then go right back into your functional harmony again.
Right, and again, this kind of speaks back to what I was talking about before. You have moments where the music is taking over. You've got the interlude in there where it's very interesting, and now I'm focusing on the music and I'm focusing on your playing. But when it comes to when you're saying key things in the music, you lay off, the piano just kind of lays back a little bit, and you don't have a hugely complicated melody. But I'll remember it. You know what I mean? I remember the melody. I remember the lyric. It's you've gotten the stuff out of the way so that that vignette of save the date, it's in my head now, and so that's the point you were trying to get across in the piece.
I think that's something I'm learning from playing covers and standards. The lyrics are so important. Cole Porter tunes and whatever, they're the top thing. So,
well, right, the singer was getting accompanied, so
Right, and I suppose as an accompanist, you accompany a lot of people, and so you are aware of what the lyrics are, and you're anticipating that in your accompaniment. One thing that I have a kind of a beef with the real book is I think that those songs that do have lyrics, that were intended to have lyrics originally, I don't think it's wrong to play them as instrumentals, but I think the lyrics should be published in the book so that instrumentalists know what the intention was.
I think that's a good idea.
Because then they can highlight. There's certain words that are highlighted on certain notes, and if you know that note right there goes with the word pain, you might play it differently than if you knew that word right there went with unicorns or rainbows. It's like, I guess it seems to me like the instrumentalist should have some kind of point of reference like that, because like you said, it's that message is really important, and it doesn't have to necessarily be carried by someone singing it, but it should be carried at least to some degree by the way it's played.
Yeah, there are some jazz players who do that. I think you can hear that. If you know the tune, if you hear a jazz player, it's a great rendition of a standard, and if you know I think it's helpful if you know the lyrics, you can connect with that, their knowledge of that too.
Yeah, when I look at a standard, I'm just looking at what the chords are. I have no idea what any of the lyrics to any of those songs are.
It's a process. There's probably tons of tunes that I play that I still do that. There's just a lot of tunes to learn.
So this particular one, you said the lyrics were really important. You had this message in your mind. Do you write the vocal melody along with the lyric, or do the lyrics come first and then you fit a melody into it?
Probably a good portion, or maybe at least a verse of the lyrics will come first, so that I have a direction. But and like I said, sometimes I don't even get the idea that this is going to be a song, but sometimes it'll have a rhythm or something in there will just click, and I'll say, yeah, I've got to work with this one, and then I'll start putting my hands on some chords to see what will fit under there. And I'm very slow and patient with songs. I think I took about a year to write that song from the point where I had that lyrical reflection.
A lot of people work that way, and I find that people who do that tend to have a lot of different things going on at once, and they kind of work with the song, and then they put it aside, and then they see it again with different eyes, and they add more. And I think that's a really great way to work. A lot of my students will ask me in songwriting class, well, shouldn't I be doing this and shouldn't I be doing that? And I'm like, whatever works, Some people sit down and they write a song in one sitting. I'll kind of do that. I'll write the main aspects of the song in one sitting. Sometimes it's completely done then. But then sometimes I'll be like, okay, I bet you there really should be a bridge here, like the next time I sit down. Or I'll know there's supposed to be more lyrics, but I'm not ready to write them yet.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's because it's a subject I'm not completely done with yet, so to be continued. Second verse, we'll figure out what happened over here, and then I'll write that down. So
Yeah, it's important to know what you're trying to say, or to be honest and feel it, because you can get lost and it can go off in a direction, and then people might not understand it.
Well, but on the other side of the coin, if your message is coherent for yourself, it may not, the listener might not know exactly what it's about, but if it's a coherent measure, if it's a coherent message from beginning to end, it will be for them too. So if I thought this was, honestly, when I heard Save the Date, the first thing that popped in my head is people getting married, because a lot of people who get married do that. They'll tell you save the date, and then just to warn you, they're going to send you an invitation. They're inviting you to be invited. So, and that's what made me think of it. But it didn't change.
It's at least some happy ceremonious function, whether not necessarily a marriage even. There's other things where you'd have to save a date, but at least it's going to be joyous.
Well, now you told us that there's a joyousness to it, like a positive thing. But now I understand the underpinnings of some of the darker aspects of the song, because the Save the Date is about trying to help people who are living in your own city, like not very far from you, and
and it was a time when I was trying to get myself to start doing some volunteer work, and I wanted to use these kind of romantic metaphors to just grab attention, and have a real, almost euphoric feeling in there to a point, without getting crazy with that.
Did you ever end up doing any volunteer work?
Yeah, I do. At this moment, I'm not, but I've got a chance to work with some kids last year. Just I like the idea of just whether I'm teaching piano or volunteering, just sitting. I mean, I don't know grammar. I can't remember how I learned past grammar. And how do you explain that to someone who's in fifth grade or sixth grade? But just to try and help give a child confidence, I think, is a great thing to do.
That's really
nurture
great.
Conference, because that's, like I said, that's what I had from my dad from a very young age. Something that encouraged me to just work on what I really am.
Yeah, I was speaking with someone the other day about how parents, another teacher, and we were kind of talking about how sometimes it's very disappointing when we see the parents of some of our students who are really trying to force their kid into being something in particular. And that doesn't go well.
Yeah.
That doesn't go well. And I'm glad, your father encouraged you and let you just kind of be yourself. That's really good. So, should we listen to another?
Sure.
Which one?
You've got one. Well, why don't we go to one that is completely the opposite of that. It's a song that just sort of came together faster than anything I've ever done. The one it's called Untwisted.
All right. Right.
Get off the tragedy for a while. When your mouth, eyes, actually everything set fly. It'll be what you want it to be. Even if you get stuck trying to sing it untwisted, force your logic off the porch, it's gonna never leave the neighborhood. So all good in their place to stay. You've got a place to stay when you give it away, when you play it away. Looking at you for this little while, I think I've untwisted. I'll go with the prank of your little style. help us untwist our night for a while. It's always back to work in the morning. Lips move without actually singing the line. We rejoice with what the stage decamouflage. Even if you're stuck and can't believe it's untwisted. Now your logic's down the blind. Helps you meet the neighborhood. They're all good. You have a place to stay when you give it away, and you play it away. Watch over you for this little while. I think you've untwisted. Everything borrowed and restyled. Together untwist our night for a while. And tomorrow's tomorrow. Tomorrow's tomorrow. And tomorrow's borrowed.
Untwisted on riverwestradio.com. This is the music of John Hefter. Wow, I love those lyrics.
Oh, thanks.
Tomorrow was borrowed for a while. That's so cool.
I don't even know how to explain the lyrics. They came out so fast, and all I know is that I had gone to a concert the night before, and I was just sort of reflecting on being a fan and why do we do that? You know, the whole fantasy of going to a rock concert. Why is that so fun? And you know,
the whole thing makes sense with the hook, you know, this untwisted thing, because the whole thing unravels so nicely. And you're talking about how, you know, staring at you for a while. Now you're telling me it's watching, you know, the concert. This is what I mean why it doesn't matter. This is why I didn't ask you what it's about first. It doesn't matter. I thought you were talking about maybe another person, and looking at you for a while makes me unravel. I mean, there's people in our lives that are like that. I unravel in a good way, because we're so tightly wound. I think that's what you're trying to say.
Yeah, like we're there to just sort of get to a new place, you know, and escape.
And
escape a little bit.
So it doesn't matter that my view of it was you were just maybe sitting across the table from a really good friend. You know how it is when you have this friend that you've been friends with for so long, you could just totally, I've had a crappy week. And it's cool, they understand you. It's like that's kind of what I was picturing. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter that, you know, that's not what it was, because the whole song worked for me from that standpoint. But instead you're saying that you watched this concert, and just in the process of watching these people play music, you just, something, you know, unraveled in a good way.
Yeah, or like that, they write a song where it feels like they understand you, even though you've never met them in your life.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that's what songwriting's all about, because people love their music and it's their music. You know, when you put a song out there, you think it's yours. It's not yours anymore. It becomes part of somebody's music. You look at the iTunes thing. What does it say? My music or my library. That's what it
true,
says.
Right.
Or on your iPod, it's my music.
That's a good way to think of it.
People take it and they make it their own, because you've said something that they can map their own experiences on to, and they can feel like they're not alone. That's always the big deal, is we're not alone.
Yeah.
Somebody else went through this. And this story I've told before on the show, but this happened, where a woman walked up to me, that song you have on domestic violence, that really moved me. And I'm like, song on domestic violence? Don't have a song on domestic violence, but I didn't want to, I didn't want to take the little stick pin and go, I don't have a song on domestic violence. I'm like, I'm really glad that touched you. Yes, I feel so good knowing that somebody really understands how I feel. And I'm like, I'm so glad I could do that for you. And I'm thinking, which song was it?
Wow.
It doesn't matter. you know?
Something abstract.
Yeah,
There's some connection between you and the listener.
yeah. So it's neat for me to listen to the song not knowing, having my own view of it, and then hearing what the real view is. It's kind of like a little added extra surprise, you know? Yeah. Now, what is the instrument in the background? It doesn't sound like a
That's
piano.
Casio Privia 320. And so, the long part of this was learning to play a piano part and trying to make it sound at least a little bit like something a guitar player would do. Although there's some junk in there too that it doesn't probably make a whole lot of sense in that
Well,
context. But
I can
but
tell
fun.
it's piano
But I mean, that's how
keyboard,
I'm gonna
but
do
yeah.
it. That's how I'm gonna perform it.
Yeah.
So I mean, I know a lot of guitar players, but I don't know if they'd want to sit down and figure out what I want. If I could even communicate to them what I want behind a lyric or a melody. So I just take the time and pound on it for a while.
I thought it was guitar at first, but then just being a pianist, I kind of could tell that
It was just a patch on a keyboard.
It's a really good patch, yeah.
It's a good patch. It's very charming.
The
The patch.
yeah.
With
yeah,
the
it's-
song.
Yeah, I think it's just a steel guitar, like in the MIDI section. I mean, I don't have things with 800 billion sounds anymore. I just need, I want something that weighs 27 pounds that I can carry around. So I'm lucky to even have that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it worked though. I mean, it was a reasonable sound. So
Yeah. Cool. I like it. I like it. Let's keep listening because I want to make sure we get all these in. Anything else you want to say about
go to
that
Safety
one?
Net because it's different.
Okay, Safety Net is. I like the fact they're all different so far. So Safety Net is the name of the song we are playing on riverwestradio.com. Safety Net on riverwestradio.com. Cool. I love atonality.
Yeah, that was a cool use of dissonance.
Yeah, really neat.
Thanks. I guess for this one, I just had. I have a couple of pieces like this. Like you guys played one called "The Goat and Cow Town" a while back, and it's, I'll have a theme, and I'll maybe start writing things down. But what I really want for performance is just sort of an outline and some sections that I can remember, so I can do it like a jazz piece. I can tell a story, but not verbatim every time.
Right,
So,
right. It had a very kind of a spy thriller sort of feel.
Yeah, it was edgy. It was intense.
I remember when I got the first theme in my head. I had just come home from this movie that came out this summer called Safety Not Guaranteed. So I don't know if I stole the title from that, but it was about a guy who put an ad in the paper looking for someone to time travel with him, just as a brief.
Oh, I
Yeah,
saw
you
the
know,
previews
I
for
did-
that.
I did
How
too.
was that?
I thought it was kind of fun. Well, it put me in a mood to go home and just start doing this. So I guess it has to have some credit. But then I thought when I don't know, titles are annoying. You have to put something. You have to slap something.
I kind of liked that for the title, though.
Yeah.
Well, and I was starting to think after I named it, I started to think, well, if there's like a safety nut in life, it's probably always going to come loose, and maybe you just need to go and dance with it, just let it,
Yeah.
Yeah, that whole song was very like suspenseful. I never quite knew where it was gonna go. Like I had an idea of where it was supposed to go, but I never quite knew what was about to happen.
I hope it doesn't lose people that way. Like it doesn't, like we were talking about earlier. Like I hope it's not a piece where you can just flip it around.
Well,
turn, too
I
much.
think it was interesting enough. I mean, it still kept my attention because it kept going somewhere interesting. But
Yeah, it builds
it
to
just
something
wasn't
cool.
repetitive. Like
Yeah.
99% of the music on the radio is extremely repetitive. So
Yeah, I do kind of want a hook, with the dissonance that I like to put in. I kind of have this concept of a sour flavor, where if you bite into a lemon, it's, I mean, yeah, it takes a lot of getting used to. And sometimes when I'm writing, I don't like what I'm not used to the hook that I have and it takes me a while to start before it grows on me and I actually want to do it. But then once I do, there's a flavor there that I appreciate that I want to just try to put out there,
I found it catchy right away. It's in my head now. I mean, yes, I know. I'm a person who finds dissonant melodies catchy, but
yeah,
so we do exist. My advice is play this song in between the two, lyric songs that are about stuff, and then just kind of sneak that one in between, and there will be people who will be like, that will happen.
Maybe they'll buy more drinks though.
Well, right. The people who really want to go and buy another drink can go do that, and the people like me who are like, "What's this?" And that's what I was saying before with the prog band. It's like I expect that my first show it will be the band and 4 people. That's okay, but I do have this other stuff, and that's kind of how you are too. You have this, but then you have something that people can really like.
That's such a much better connection when somebody comes up and says something meaningful. I mean, clapping is, sometimes that can just be even if it's a lot of people, it can be just sort of a knee-jerk, oh, everybody else is clapping, I guess I have to.
Yep. Have you ever had this where people were clearly not paying any attention to you the whole show and they'd clap after every song and then tell you how great you were at the end of the show?
Yeah, well, try not to listen to that. I like when someone, like at Mayfair, I used to really love it, even whether they had $1 to throw in or not. If they said thank you, it kind of made me feel like, wow, this person understands that I'm working here.
Yeah.
yeah, and they actually were appreciating what you were doing.
Right. I was kind of nervous with this piece going on and somebody here who's picking out time signatures because I don't know what they are.
That's what he does. It's his thing. It's Jacob's little corner over there. He will report on the time signatures in a song if there's more than one, which is fine. That's great. It's good because listeners can kind of sort of try to pick up on it. People who...
I still don't know. I mean, the way I look at it, I don't think I knew exactly what a time signature was before I started playing, so I feel like it probably doesn't mean a lot to a lot of people. But
Well, and I think what it does is people recognize that there's something off the beaten usual 4/4, especially when you write a pop song in 7 and then watch people try to dance to it. That's
Or
always been a
what
kick.
what a lot of those guys were doing was there would be parts of it in 4, and then they would switch to a different time signature. So it would start in your standard, and then it would just lose it all of a sudden.
But I think for something like this, it's just it is. I got a feeling of improvisation. I got a feeling like you had a definite path, and you knew what you wanted to say and what you wanted to do.
Yeah, I got a feeling of improv too. It definitely had some like soul to it.
Yeah. So I mean, when you change things up, I don't think it's necessary for any of us to really analyze it to get that it had this feeling of now we're doing this.
Well, the only thing I worry about is if there are some things I've written where I wouldn't be against playing it with someone else, putting it in a combo setting, but then there's that challenge of just tighten it down and make a nice little chart for it without making it too complicated. I wouldn't.
Right.
Go
Then you do
separate
actually have to
eliminating
figure out what the time signatures
Well, I probably
are.
wouldn't do it that way then. I'd probably just say, well, we're going to tighten this section down a little bit. Or we're going to round it a little bit so that it's not, when you're a one-person jam band, you can.
Oh, you can do whatever
don't
you
have
want.
to- yeah, right.
You don't have to follow anyone.
Right.
But if you want
Yes.
people to be able to just jam cohesively on it, you've got to find a way to communicate something that'll work. Or yeah, you can write out, the whatever time signatures. But I'd rather not for something like that. I'd rather it not have to be verbatim for that piece.
You're saying that when you're improvising, you let that happen as an organic,
It
part
seems
of
to
it.
want to happen. And I have, sometimes I'll try and record and be more, just round or tight because I think, I don't know, maybe that'll just work better. But those just never seem to have the feeling. I could have brought tighter versions of everything tonight, and it just cleaner playing whatever. They just don't seem to work because I've worked so hard on it. I'm tired of feeling it. I'm just numb to what I'm playing. I don't want
you
to
don't
do
want
it
to
anymore.
record that.
Yeah.
No, this had a fresh feeling. This had a feeling of anticipation. Like I was anticipating what you were doing next.
And-
I was following that.
Oh.
Oh, did I take your thought away? I'm sorry. Okay.
But it's not your thought. It's the listener's thought now.
So let's go on. Do you want to
We have
play
time
another
for,
one? Sure.
Let's do Sparrow because I feel bad I killed a sparrow and I want to give it a eulogy
Oh, okay.
with my car.
Sparrow on riverwestradio.com. That was really cool.
Yeah, so I had killed this sparrow with my car, and I don't know why I was so just moved by that. I know I ran over a skunk once because it took a week to
Yeah, but they're smelly.
Well, but the thing was that it was payback. Well, no, the skunk paid me back.
That's right.
They were doing this. There were a bunch of sparrows doing this spiraling thing in front of me, and I slowed down the car, and they were coming across the boulevard, and it was the least expected thing that I was just mesmerized by this, and all of a sudden, bam, and then just thud right in the boulevard. And so this is something I don't want to perform. I don't want to try and recapture the moment. I'm just glad I had the tape rolling at home. I just came home and played a little bit, and I don't even know what caused, what I would call it. I just
That was just a spontaneous improvisation?
pretty much, yeah.
I'm really impressed. Some people
Yeah,
work
that's pretty
really
good.
hard to compose something like that.
I mean, I think there was a moment where I was playing and realized, I probably should turn that on now and click, and then so I started over. But sometimes things come. I mean, it's rare, but that was the other thing that came really fast. I had no idea. I could never recapture that or perform it as well.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even try.
I wouldn't think so, because it wouldn't have the same. No.
It was very sad. I mean, it definitely was. Like, you could tell you were bugged out about the incident.
It was an incident. Yeah.
I mean, it's sad, but I heard kind of a. How can I put this? It was more than just sad. It was more nuanced than just sad. It wasn't. That was sad.
It is a eulogy. I
Yeah.
wanted to do something because somebody's going to pick it up tomorrow and not know that it was part of this really amazing. Something I thought was amazing. I'd never seen birds do that before. And it's a creature. It's amazing in itself, and now it's just garbage to.
Well, and of course that's a metaphor for many larger things, and yeah. I mean, 1 minute something's there, and the next minute you're enjoying the beauty of it, and the next minute it's gone. So in a way you've captured, but see, I think you've captured not just the sadness, but the beauty. I'm totally getting that. I don't know if you did this on purpose, but you had a really wide range where you had really high notes, and then you had really low notes, and sometimes they were happening at the same time, or they were merging from one to the other. And it made me think like the high notes almost seemed more bird-like, whereas the low notes were more like your sadness.
Yeah, this was a sound that was on. I think it was the Roland JV 1080, which I think it was like a film scoring or film strings or something. And it's one of those. I love going into a store and playing synthesizers because you don't know how they're going to react. And this is not a sound that I had used before. I was just poking around, and the sound got me. The patch itself got me going, and I don't remember like how. That would be another thing. I wouldn't know how to attack the notes again. Or I was just sort of reacting to what the keyboard was doing at times too, So, but I was thinking about that incident, as we call it. So
It's beautiful. I really love it. I mean, I could see the fact that you said it was a film score patched kind of makes me smile, because I could see this being, now that you've given me the whole visual, I see the visual, and you should find a filmmaker that could do a film to this music. That'd be really cool.
That would be fun, yeah.
Wow. So we do have.
Just the film of the whole life of a sparrow.
Right.
Well, I'm kind of picturing the swirling sparrows and possibly the atmosphere of everything. Oh, there's Freddie, our trusty leader. Freddie Lee has arrived. And I'd like to hear another one because we do have time.
Well, I think I just have one more. It's a song on there called Strive, and it is not the one called Strike that's on my other. I don't know how that happened, but it's it's the 90s, so we're all doing these
One-word songs, and
Wait, no, it's not the 90s.
Okay, here we go. This is Strike by John Hector.
Never wanted to strive, never wanted to play any games until you said it. Everything followed published design, layers above my heart and mind until you said strike. I remember when you said strike. How can we give what's fair when we don't get what's fair? Risked everything to align with new circumstance. Love everything about love, modern dance, but then you say strike. I don't need steering, but you say strike. I do remember when you said strike. We talked about oceans of new ideas and of how silly the past is gonna feel, but none of that stuff pans out for real until strike. Strike. Strike.
That was Strive with a V. I remember when you said strike, and I'll never forgive you. No, I won't.
That's gonna haunt me for the rest of my life.
It's going to haunt me for the rest of my life. No, that was.
Was that your first error?
Oh, yes.
Of all
Ever.
time. Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Ladies and gentlemen, get out your calendars.
That's right.
Wow, that was really cool.
No, thanks.
It was- yeah, I mean, all of those songs all ended on an interesting chord. None of them ended on your traditional. Those all had a kind of interesting way, like place to finish, to leave you hanging.
Do you have lyric sheets online with these songs? Because I think if you don't, I really wish you did. Because
Yeah, I do. Well, I should compile all that. I know Strive is up at Reverb Nation, and its lyrics are there. So whenever I put a song up, I try to remember to put the lyrics up. Because,
Yeah.
you know.
I wish I had them here because a really cool line would go by, and I'd be like, oh, I gotta tell him I like that. Oh, that's cool too.
Yeah.
And then I forgot all the cool lines, but a lot of cool lines in there. There was a really cool line in the other song too, where you said something to the effect of, push your logic off the porch.
Yeah.
Was that it? That's
That is a
awesome.
line.
That is so cool. That's awesome.
Not that you can't have it around, but it shouldn't be. There's a time when
Yeah.
it shouldn't be like ringing your doorbell and
well, right.
bothering you. I guess I don't know.
Well, you know how I saw it? See, I saw it different. I saw you're sitting on the porch and you're trying to relax. Get the logic off here. You don't need it here. It can be over there. When you need it, you can go do it.
Go back to your own house.
Go back to your own house, Logic. We'll be back for you later. Well, we have wound down to another ending of Compose Yourself with Julie Brandenburg. And I'm happy to have my friend here, John Hefter, who is a fabulous guest. And you'll want to see his music on Reverb Nation. That's Hefter.
Yeah, you can also use the domain name johnhefter.com, and it goes right to that.
Okay.
So the shows and everything are there.
And thank you, Jacob, again for being my trusty panelist. and bass player. And we're going to go out this evening with some Northless. And this is a song called Empty Home.
Think you've untwisted.
Whoops. That's still John Hefter. I like him so much, I want to just keep on playing the song. So, we are going to work with the iPod here.
And I'll just say, can I just say thank you guys for the show, for
Oh, yeah.
all the Milwaukee musicians that get a chance to just chill and talk about music and play their music. I think it's great.
It's a lot of fun.
We'll have you back. Now we're really going to, this is really going to be Northless now, really. This is Empty Home.